had to have been bullied his whole fucking life.
I don't know. Was he though? I mean, he seems to just. I think he's just kind of a sociopathic narcissist. I don't think he ever got. I think he always just sat there and waited for his moment to.
No, I think you got to be creative. You got to be hurt that bad to be that isolated. And
his old man. It must have been his old man.
Had to be his own man.
Yeah,
had to be.
But your family, you didn't get it from your family, did you?
No, I mean, my mother was
right.
My mother was, the shit that she'd say, the stuff that she would say to us, and then, but she was damaged. She had a terrible childhood, and she was the victim of incest by the hands of her father. She was terribly damaged, and as a result, we were victimized by that. She loved us. You just never knew who you were going to get.
Right, sure. Yeah. It's interesting though, because you're a guy, and I'm the same way. Like, I feel like I don't know who. Like, for most of my life, I didn't know who the fuck I was. But like, when you watch like an old piece of work you did, can't you see yourself? I mean, like, after a certain point, like, I started to realize, like, how am I the only one that doesn't know who I am? Because I'm the same guy. Like, I can see it in there. There's parts of me that never changed, which means to me that I was somebody, that I had a self, but for some reason, living in it, I couldn't quite identify it.
No, I don't think so.
No?
Part of, there's a lot. I never liked watching myself. And now that I'm an old man, to see my new, the more recent stuff, that the way my body is, and I'm leaning over and I'm rotting away. It's like, I can't stomach it. It's Billy Wilder was quoted as saying, "In some of my work, I load less than others."
Yeah. You feel that way?
Oh, I totally feel that way.
So when did you like when you're at work and like when you did Risky Business, Tom Cruise a big star yet, or he wasn't, was he?
No.
So like you didn't know what was going to happen with that movie. You're just taking a job.
That's right. Taking a job. And at that time they were doing all these kid movies, and for me, it was just 2 weeks work.
And that was a big deal. That kind of broke you, didn't it?
Well, yeah, it's like, what the hell? I couldn't believe it. That it was that successful. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
And that became my kind of connection with Warner Brothers for years. I went from one Warner Brothers picture and, with success, the Fugitive and Matrix. I did a lot of, the Goonies. So it was Risky Business to the Goonies.
Yeah.
And the Goonies to the Fugitive, and the Fugitive to the Matrix, and those are the ones that made money. I'm not mentioning the shitbox ones.
Right, but you were in La Bamba. That did all right. I saw it.
And that was Taylor Hackford.
Again.
He produced it. So, it's like you make the one thing that I have been very lucky about is that these guys like me enough to hire me again.
Yeah.
That's the one fucking thing. Because it's certainly not talent.
No, you bring the juice, man. You're fucking Joe Pantoliano.
My daughter, she says, she just made me change my Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's, I say, I'm no actor and I got over 100 movies to prove it.
When you were doing Empire of the Sun, could you ever have imagined that Christian Bale would be who he is now?
No, I could never imagine him being 20. We actually just saw that movie for the first time. Last week we did a Goonie reunion. Everybody, Josh Gad, he put together, so it was like Spielberg and Donner and Chris Columbus and all the Goonie kids and me and Robert Davi, the Fratelli family, one of those Skype things, everybody's talking.
Yeah.
And so after doing that, it was really cool to do it. It felt really good. And so my family and I watched the Goonies.
Yeah.
And they said, it's really great. This is a really fun movie. And I said, we got to watch. So the next night we watched Empire of the Sun. I haven't seen Empire of the Sun in 30 years.
Yeah.
And my kids were like, who's that kid? Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the experience that I remember, not the acting.
Yeah.
You're talking about, I was in China and I I went to China. We shot 4 weeks in China, and I
Yeah.
had to drive a truck. It was a double clutch truck, and
Right.
so the Chinese. This is 1987. The Chinese made me get a driver's license. They wouldn't let me drive the truck unless I had a driver's license. I
Right.
was the first American to have a driver's license in China, and I left it there. Idiot that I am.
You don't have your Chinese driver's license anymore?
No. How cool is that?
Well, now you can drive a double clutch truck too.
Yeah. If I could find that thing.
But you remember him as a kid, though, Christian Bale.
Oh yeah. The whole family, they're adorable. They came to our wedding. Nancy and I. We got married 26 years ago. That was Christian in his awkward stage. 16 years old,
Right.
6'3".
That's fun. Are you still in touch with him now?
I saw him a while ago. We were in a shopping mall, and this guy comes up. He goes, "Jerry, it's Christian," and he said, "I want you to introduce you to my wife." He's adorable. He's a good kid. He's a good man. He's a good man.
Yeah,
and,
good actor, huh?
Yeah, he's an amazing actor. And I didn't know. I mean, all I remember. I told this to my kids. All I remember from that experience is how Steven Spielberg would have him running around before he said action. He'd get him on a bicycle, so the kid was always out of breath. And that's one of the few things that I remember about that whole entire experience. I remember we couldn't eat either because we were in a concentration camp.
Yeah.
So I was like living in Spain for 2 months, and I was living in London and China, and we couldn't eat. We were on these strict diets because we couldn't put on weight.
And that must have been terrible. All the good food around, right?
All around you. I mean, Spain. Those Spanish people are crazy. They don't go out to dinner until 3 a.m.
I know it's food, and everything's like a small plate of everything, but there's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
So, and then another memory I have is that Midnight Run character is hilarious. And that was one of those characters where you could go completely crazy, right?
That was an interesting thing because Marty Bress was somebody I knew from the NYU days when they were students, right?
Yeah, right.
So he calls me up and says, "Hey, listen, I'm doing this movie. Take a look at these two characters. You could play either one of them, pick what you like." So I didn't like it. I said, "I don't want to do that, Marty. I want to do something different. I've done that before." "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "I want to play the accountant." He started laughing. He said, "That ain't going to happen." I said, "Well, the only other part then is the bail bondsman." He goes, No. The bail bondsman, I got this other thing in mind. I want the guy to be really, really fat. He says, "If you want that part, you got to win it. You got to come in and audition." I said, "Sure." So they said, "You're reading with Robert De Niro." And, I worked on it. And because of my dyslexia, for years, I had always memorized the part, but then pretended I was reading because I didn't want them to think
right.
I was giving my best. This is my best A game.
So you had to act. You had to act on top of acting.
Yes. And I'm reading with De Niro. And at one point he's asking for money. He says, "Where's my money, Eddie? Give me my money." And he puts out his hand. Like, give me the money.
Yeah.
And I took his hand and I shake his hand. I put his hand up to my chest. And I started petting his hand. I said, and my line was, "What's the matter with you? You don't trust me?" And I'm like I'm making love to him. "What's the matter with you? You don't trust me? Come over here. You're going to get you." Instead of like another actor would say, "What's the matter? You don't trust me? Get out of here." So I saw De Niro's eyes go like this.
Yeah.
Like it was like, "Whoa. Who's this guy?" And I felt really good. It was one of the only times I remember like feeling like I got the job in the room.
And was that the first time you met De Niro?
I think officially. I used to see him in the Village because, of course, I knew who he was. I had a small part in Godfather 2. We were on 6th Street between Avenue A and B. They took that whole street and turned it into 1920 New York Street. And we were in a tenement building, and those apartments were turned into dressing rooms. And I accidentally walked into his dressing room one day. I thought I was going into mine, and there he was. He was sitting there reading his script. So I'd seen him around. I used to see him downtown at the bookstore. but that was the first time I officially met him as an actor.
Did you guys hit it off pretty good?
I liked him. Yeah, yeah. He was incredibly interesting to work with then. I mean, he was, that young De Niro had a mystique and allure that he was incredibly concentrated but he was incredibly giving actor and would, knock on my door and say, you want to run lines and stuff like that, it was always about, doing a good job in the work and totally accessible. So I adored him.
When after you do Midnight Run and you start to do, I don't remember when you did the Bad Boy movies, but I mean, you just never stop. Oh, The Fugitive was probably before that.
Yeah. And it has nothing to do with talent. It has to do with movies making money.
Right.
Back then it was like, this movie's a hit. Okay, he's in it. Boom. Like, now I'm in the biggest hit movie in the world. Bad Boys for Life has been the #1 movie. It's broken all records because of the coronavirus. See, it's the last movie that's in the theaters. So nothing has come out. And because of that, I am in the #1 movie in the history of the world. And I can't get hired. We're all out of work.
Who were you in Godfather 2?
I was, my part was cut out. Remember the guy, Benucci, the guy in the white?
Yeah.
Well, there's a scene where he is attacked. When Coppola, years later, put together the Godfather saga, where he took all 3 movies, and so I'm in that. But I was one of 3 guys that jumped him and cut his throat.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was a really cool scene because he's all in white, and they cut his throat. We cut his throat.
Oh yeah, because they refer to that.
Yes. By the way, I'll tell you a funny story. I was working at O'Neill's Balloon, Patrick O'Neill's restaurant across from American Ballet Theater, Lincoln Center. Yeah. I was a waiter there. And one day these guys show up and they got 16 millimeter cameras. And I go, what are you guys doing? They go, well, we're shooting some B-roll. I said, oh, you're filmmakers? I'm an actor. And they go, no, we're doing a movie. We're scouting locations for a movie that's coming in from Hollywood. I said, well, you got anything in there for me? And he said, well, not really. It's all old people. But you're an actor. Maybe we're looking for a good casting director. So I only knew one casting director, Vic Ramos, who I'd done extra work for. I said, Vic Ramos, the best casting director in the whole world. So a couple of weeks later, he calls me up. He goes, I'll be a son of a bitch. I've never gotten an extra, got me a job. But I just got this thing called Harry and Tonto with Art Carney. But there's nothing in it. It's all old people, but I owe you one. So now he calls me up 6-7 months later. He goes, look, I'm doing this movie for Pete's sake with Barbara Streisand. Peter Yates is directing it. The guy that did Bullied? Yeah. He says, well, you're going to work for me. I'm going to give you a voucher a day and you'll take care. You're going to wrangle the extras. And if there's a small part of something, maybe we get you. So one day Peter Yates goes, who's playing the undercover cop? And I said, me. He says, all right, come on. I was in my street clothes.
Yeah.
So I get the job. I arrest Barbara Streisand. The year goes by. I need to get my W-4. I call Vic. He says, come over. And all of these guys there's all these guys dressed like Marlon Brando, right?
Yeah.
Their hair slicked back. It's 1974. And he goes, Joey, I got it over here. I go, wait a minute, Joey, wait. He goes, do you do stunts? I go, yeah.
Sure, why not?
And he goes, all right, come and meet Fred Roos. Fred Roos goes, you do stunts? Yeah. You're an actor? Yeah. When you study to tell him, I get hired. Now it's my job, apparently, that I'm going to come from nowhere and jump on the back of this guy, Benucci.
Yeah. And
we're on 6th Street in the back alley, and it's all this broken glass and condoms and, IV needles. And Coppola says, where's the stunt guy? And I guess I was a little green because I saw that Fred Roos, the producer, immediately knew that I was a lying sack of shit. And he pointed at me like, that's the stunt guy. So I must have been shaking because Coppola takes me. He goes, I want you to jump off of the first